Hi everybody, it's Rebecca, Virginia, and today I'm going to show you how to make 3 fall DIYs using items from the Dollar Tree. The first DIY is an easy freestanding wooden pumpkin. Here's what you'll need. Start by removing the bow and tag from the wooden pumpkin. Next up, we're going to take our scrapbooking paper in any pattern of your choice. I chose 3 different patterns for mine, but you can choose 1 or different ones as well. Trace the indentations with the end of your paintbrush. I had a directional pattern, so I had to be really careful with my placement to ensure that the word thankful was centered. Here's what the back of the paper will look like after you made the indentations with the paintbrush. It makes a perfect pattern for you to cut. Repeat the process with the other sides of the pumpkin. I love the scrapbooking paper selection at Hobby Lobby. A lot of the times you can get them for $1, so when they're on sale like that, you definitely should stock up. Now I'm painting my pumpkin. You really don't have to paint the raised pieces like I am. You can just go where the indentations are, but I found it easier to just paint the entire pumpkin, so that's what I'm doing. Next, I'm taking the wood blocks, which I actually got from the children's toy section at the Dollar Tree, and I'm painting them the same brown. Because I used such a dark paint color, I felt I lost the dimension of the pumpkin, so I went in with some white paint to highlight. Next, I attached the scrapbooking paper to the wooden pumpkin with Mod Podge, and then went over the top with Mod Podge again to ensure it stayed in place. I traced the stem of my pumpkin onto some burlap ribbon, then hot glued it onto the front side of the wooden pumpkin. I created a simple bow using burlap and lace ribbon and tied it together with some jute. To embellish my pumpkin, I hot glued some Spanish moss to the bottom. To turn this hanging sign into a freestanding pumpkin, I hot glued the wooden blocks to the bottom back of the pumpkin. And here's the completed, easy, simple pumpkin DIY. Here's an example of the same pumpkin, just using paint and leaving it as a hanging sign. The next DIY is a lighted Scarecrow leaf arrangement. Here's what you'll need to complete this super cute project. To start this adorable DIY, we're going to take some floral foam blocks and insert them into the pail. I'm going to be using 3 floral foam blocks stacked on top of one another, but I also wanted to have some leaf lights in this DIY. So to create room for the battery pack that will be in the leaf lights, I used some scissors to cut out a little section of the floral foam block so that the battery pack slides easily in and out. As you can see, the battery pack fits perfectly into the foam block. Also make sure that you have the on and off switch of the lights pointed up so that you can easily turn on and off the lights. Now I'm adding some extra foam block pieces to the sides and the front. Now we're going to put our adorable little Scarecrow guy into his home. And we're going to take the skewer and basically put it right up him. Don't worry, he's still smiling, he can't feel anything. So insert the skewer into him and then go ahead and center him and push him down into the foam block. Now that our Scarecrow is in his pail, we have to make things a little bit more homey for him. So to do this, I'm gluing down some artificial Spanish moss and just putting this all around the pail. Next, I'm going to start decorating the pail with some foliage. I took these acorns that I have and hot glued them onto toothpicks so that they were easier to stick into the floral foam blocks. To further decorate my Scarecrow's home, I took some floral picks from the Dollar Tree and mums, sunflowers, and other types of flowers, and just spread them all around his new home. Lastly, we're going to take the leaf lights and haphazardly arrange them all around our Scarecrow to complete his lighted home. Shout out to Jody from Jody's Craft Room for being the inspiration behind this project. I will link her video below. The final DIY is this buffalo check fall foliage pumpkin. Here's what you'll need. We're going to begin by deconstructing the Thankful and Blessed pumpkin sign. I removed all of the embellishments as well as the jute. Next up, I took a piece of sandpaper and sanded off the glitter on the Thankful and Blessed so we had a smooth surface to adhere our scrapbooking paper to. I used the buffalo check scrapbooking paper as my base for this sign, so I laid the pumpkin flat on the paper and used a pencil to trace out the pumpkin outline. Next up, I took a pair of scissors and trimmed it out. After flipping the sign back over, I put the scrapbooking paper on top and adhered it to the pumpkin sign with Mod Podge, and also I used an old gift card to make sure the scrapbooking paper was smooth and there were no air bubbles. I wanted to add texture to my pumpkin sign, so I took jute cord and a glue gun and went around the entire pumpkin twice, as well as wrapping the entire stem in the jute cord. Once I laid down the scrapbooking paper, I realized I didn't have those indentations in my pumpkin anymore, so I wanted to add them in with some more jute cord. But before I did that, I decided to take some white paint and a paintbrush and first paint them onto the pumpkin before adding the jute cord. Similar to how I added the jute cord around the stem and the outside of the pumpkin, I used the glue gun in the same method to add it along the indentations I created with the white paint. Because my pumpkin sign is going to be freestanding and you'll be able to see the back of it, I decided to paint it with a dark brown paint color. If you're choosing to do your sign as a hanging sign, you can skip this step. I'm painting these wood blocks the same brown color. They're going to be the support for our pumpkin sign. This Harvest Blessing sign is going to be the base for our DIY. I picked it because I love the faux wood border. I'm painting the top with the same dark brown color as the pumpkin and the wood blocks. To ensure the paint didn't chip off when I adhere the pumpkin to it, I'm covering the top of this Harvest Blessing sign with some Mod Podge. To embellish the pumpkin, I'm taking burnt orange ribbon and some jute to create a bow. To further embellish the pumpkin, I added some colorful fall leaves to the top and then hot glued the bow in between them. This Thankful galvanized sign came in a pack of 3 at the Dollar Tree, so it's a really good deal, and I decided to take this Thankful one and hot glue it to the middle of my pumpkin. To get the pumpkin sign to stand onto the base that we already painted, I added these wood blocks to the bottom of the pumpkin so that it would lay flat on top of the base. Once I determined the approximate location I wanted the pumpkin sign to sit on the base, I hot glued it down. I decided I wanted a little more color in my sign, so I added a bunch of these fall leaves to the top of the base. And that is your completed buffalo check fall foliage pumpkin. In case you wanted to have a hanging sign rather than a freestanding, here's an example of another one that I created. I hope you enjoyed these 3 fall DIYs using items from the Dollar Tree. Until next time, keep searching, keep creating.